kick this thing off today. You'll hear from Coach Bowden here in a minute. I just, today on my 62nd birthday, announcing that I will be stepping down as athletic director effective September 1st. It's been a journey, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed working with student athletes, the coaches, the administration, certainly the community. We've accomplished a lot of things, and I know you've got a release that we just passed out, but I'm very proud of where we are and where we're going. And in talking with Dr. Berry, as many of you know, we just completed for athletics a strategic plan, just a monumental effort led by Sept. I think it's a very comprehensive and thorough plan. And as we visited about that and deciding how we wanted to execute on these pieces, it occurred to me that maybe now is the time for me to move back into the financial services industry, where I'd spent 35 years of my career, and there'd be someone come in and execute on this plan that is just going to be the path forward for this athletic department. I've said many times that I felt like this was a relay race, and I got the baton, and my responsibility was to run as fast and as long as I possibly could and put this team in a better position. And I feel like our athletic department is in a tremendous position right now, and it's time for me maybe to pass the baton to the next leader and let them continue to put our team in great shape. I came in as a war hawk, and I will continue to be a war hawk, and my wife Lisa and I will certainly miss everything here at the university in terms of our involvement directly with this faculty, staff, coaches, administration, and then the student athletes. So with that, I'll answer any questions you may have. Well, I just think, again, as we looked at this strategic plan and going through it and really going through the different steps that we're going to need to execute on, I didn't want to get 3, 4, 5 months into this and then turn over to someone else who may have a little bit different vision in terms of how they might approach some of these tactics that support this plan. So it's something I certainly struggle with, and Dr. Berry has been very, very supportive, and we discussed it and just decided, I had some other opportunities and some people that had approached me about, getting back into the financial services industry. It just seemed like the right time, Chris. Oh, it's very, very difficult because, I care. And, I worked along with my team to attract the very best, staff and coaches. I feel like we had tremendous staff and tremendous coaches. You're going to hear from one here in just a few minutes, Coach Bowden. I'm really excited about, not only where this football program is, but where it's going, and I think people continue to see the improvement that Coach Bowden and his staff have made in this football program. And then I could just go, each sport, and I'm very proud of the coaches that we have and the efforts they put in, and then just my administrative staff, the hours and hours and hours that people don't see that it takes, logistically to pull this off. I think this is a special place there, and get an opportunity to get to know the folks in this community. I don't know whether it'll be somebody internal or somebody external, but it's very important they connect with this community. This community really cares about this program and this university, and it's vital. Without this university in this community, most of us probably wouldn't even be here. So we got to continue not just to survive, but to thrive. And in order to do that, somebody's got to come in and really take it personally. And if they don't feel a personal connection to this university and this community, then they probably need to go somewhere else. Dr. Berry and I haven't talked about that at all, and I'll any guidance or any questions he may ask me about, I certainly will offer if asked. And but he has a tremendous team of people too, and I'm sure he will go through a process, and I'm quite certain he will select the right person to lead this program. I think this. I mean, there's so many things. I'll just go back to something more recent that popped in my mind, Aaron. This past spring, our student athletes had a 3.36 GPA for the spring. That's the highest GPA going back many, many years for our student athletes cumulatively. And then also, in addition to that, they completed over 2,500 community service hours. And whereas we were finishing near at the bottom in community service hours within the Sun Belt Conference, we moved all the way up to third in the conference in community service hours. So, it's the things that people sometimes don't always see. And so the student athletes really had to put forth tremendous effort, along with help from our faculty and our staff and Carmen Wright and her academic services group, to achieve that academically. And then the coaches and the staff to get out and work in our community is very, very important, and to have that many hours that they're giving back to this community. And I think what you'll see in very short order with the plan that we have, we'll be at the very top in community service hours. And I think, giving back, certainly we can look at the records and the seasons and the teams, but those are obvious. These other things not quite as obvious to I think the community, to see how important these student athletes are to this community, and how important it is for them to achieve academically as well as athletically. There's always things left undone. And I don't want to use any excuses, but COVID took about 5 years out of everybody's life, I think. I mean, certainly here, there are so many things that we had on the tracks that we were prepared to do and wanted to do, and COVID certainly made us have to reprioritize a lot of those and put them a little further down the road. I mean, there's some things facility-wise that are coming. We've got many projects that are just starting or about to start. Some of those things I'd like to have seen to completion, but I'm just knowing that they're getting started is, I know they'll be done. I think the lack of leadership in the NCAA has made it tremendously difficult. Because you had a structure and you knew what the rules were and are, and that's made it real difficult for us. I think it has changed dramatically in such a way that things that just 18 months, 24 months ago that were completely illegal are now things that we're encouraging. I don't know that that's bad. It's just that no one was truly prepared to prepare our student athletes for it, and to make sure they were in a good place and to have plans for it. So it has made it difficult. I want to compliment our commissioner Keith Gill at Sun Belt Conference and our other athletic director within the Sun Belt Conference, because we have a really close group that work together, and that's made it better because we're all, I think, pretty close on the same page. But the federal government, the NCAA, has not taken the leadership that they need to take on some of these issues, in my opinion. I think we're in a very, very competitive conference. Pick the sport, and I mean, this conference is as good as any group of five, probably the best group of five conference. I think just getting our facilities, on par, and making sure that our student athletes have the resources they need to continue to compete at a very high level. I mean, in a couple of weeks here, we're going to be at University of Texas. Their lockers cost $175 each. $175,000 each. And so so there's lots of money, and we compete against that money. We kind of take pride in it, kind of put that chip on our shoulder, because we believe that we're very resourceful with what we have. We look at this room right here that was made possible by Coach Bowden's leadership and the community, contributing. We have one of the finest players' lounges in the conference. I think Coach could tell you that. And so it's these kinds of things that are for the players, that the players get to know that they're being cared for, and that we're putting our resources directly back into them, and that's what we got to continue to do. I don't think so. We've got a good plan in place. Our season tickets, I think John Lewandowski told me we're up 98%. Is that right? So our season ticket sales are up 98%. We've had a great plan. We've worked it all summer. So ticket sales are up. We've got a plan for each game specifically with community partners that I think will show our student athletes when they come out to play that there's going to be large crowds here at Malone Stadium, and so you're right. There's no really good time to be in athletics. What we found is this is a 365-day-a-year job, and that's part of it, quite frankly, guys. I mean, this is my 4th year, or I'll complete 4 years in September as athletic director, and it's every night, it's every weekend, and I'm not complaining. I knew that when you get into it, but I mean it's relentless, and these coaches, the hours they put in is relentless. The hours these student athletes put in is relentless, and it's just at a stage in my life that perhaps it's time for me to continue to support this university, continue to support this athletic program, but maybe have some different leadership. Well, the president's going to address that. I believe in the release that he talks about there'll be an interim AD named very, very soon, and then there'll be a national search for a new athletic director. So I anticipate that'll come out very quickly. Now, I think this. I mean, this job's tough. Every athletic director's job is tough, and they've got to be smart. They've got to be able to connect with people. They've got to understand how important student athletes are to this process, and they've got to make sure that these coaches have the resources they need to compete on the field, in the classroom, and certainly in the community. Thank y'all very much.